So how are you all doing? How's COVID-19 going?
Good.
Good. Gerard pretends like he didn't hear that question.
No, I'm giving the ladies a chance to go first.
Oh, there we go. Well, I asked Senya yesterday, but now I don't know where Rebecca went. Rebecca, are you still with us? Is it just all video?
It's just muted.
So I didn't speak to you yesterday. How's COVID-19 and the lockdown going for you?
Yeah, it's been a bit of an adjustment because I'm starting to work from home now. So yeah, just changes to the world, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Do you think you can do this long term?
Yeah, I think so.
Good.
Sure.
Good.
Yeah, we'll see how we go, hey?
So Dalian, the one in charge of all this, shall I start or shall we wait to see if someone joins?
No, you can start. I think, yeah.
Okay. So Dalian and Senya was obviously with us yesterday, and then Rebecca and Gerard is new to it. So basically what I spoke about yesterday and what I decided to do is yesterday's talk that I had with you guys, I will also put on my blog. So it'll be on my website and I will share it across the platforms of social media. So then whoever missed yesterday, I don't know if that works well for you, Dalian, then they can read what I said about RAS yesterday and how I explained it. So then they don't lose anything. And then each day's content that we did, I can just kind of put in a summary again on a blog and then share it. So if anybody missed something, then at least they're not completely lost on anything, right? So for Gerard, if you feel like reading, and Rebecca, I don't know if you like reading. Gerard, by the way, is our brother, if you don't know. So I know he doesn't really like reading unless that change. But if you want to go read on what I yeah, Gerard's obviously not on mute. So yesterday we had a hell of an echo with everybody's computers, so it works better to put yourself on mute while I'm talking, but please don't feel like I'm the only one that's supposed to yap. So if you want to ask a question or comment or, you know, challenge me or be sharp on anything, please take off your mute button and interrupt me at any point. So yesterday I explained a little bit about RAS. So I give it a personality because it makes it more relatable for me. If it's something very brainy, so when I studied all this neuro-linguistic programming with all the medical terms and the scientific knowledge, it became very boring for me. I never liked biology and science in school. So for me, it helped to give all these different parts of your brain a little personality. So I literally like a crazy person see them all as different personalities in my head. So maybe I am schizophrenic, I'm not sure. So I gave RAS a personality and I explained it a little bit yesterday. So RAS basically in intellectual terms stands for reticular activating system, but I give it a personality and call him RAS, which is basically the bouncer in my head. So if you imagine this big strong muscled bouncer at a nightclub and you're trying to sneak in to get in there and you're not on the VIP list, RAS is that bouncer. So he stands at the gates of your mind and he decides what he lets in and what not. So are you going to join the party or not? So to understand RAS very well and to know how to speak to him and to communicate with him can give you so much power, because that is how you literally tell him what you want in your life and what you don't. So that's how airy-fairy people and hippies and spiritual people believe in law of attraction and asking for what you want. But there is actually scientific proof that it does exist. So it's literally this reticular activating system in your brain that decides what thoughts, what sensations, what any kind of reactions that you have from your senses, what it lets through. And then it goes to your subconscious mind and it programs you. So that is why gunshot sounds or sirens or an ambulance or something might trigger a certain reaction, because you might have had a memory or an experience where those sounds were linked to it, and therefore it triggers a certain reaction to you. So that's why sometimes even we might trigger our anger and our temper, and we don't understand exactly why, but it's because there were things in our past that happened and it got stored and programmed that way. So Raz has programmed that your whole life. You just didn't really realize it. So you gave it a bit of power because you didn't give it a proper job description. And therefore it's running amok. So I won't go on about that again because then you would go, okay, we did this yesterday. So that was just a bit of a recap to understand Raz. But I will post it on the blog and then you can read on it. So I will post it on Dalien's page as well and you can get more of it. So today what I will explain to you, remember yesterday I said that we are going to learn how to be mind warriors. So when you want to go to the biggest war, and I mean, we're dealing with COVID-19, so none of us ever dealt with a pandemic like that before in our lives. We've never dealt with war. So you have to armor yourself with the right guns and the right weapons to do this war. And you can't just be a soldier, you want to be a warrior. So the whole sessions that I'm doing with you guys is to train you to become a mind warrior. So the first step today that we're going to talk about of how to become a mind warrior and how to train Raz in small steps is to look at what you can do first in a small way to change that. So I'm going to share my screen a little bit with you. So just let me know if you guys see it. So first time I'm trying this thing, not that one. There we go. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
Good. Right, so what you will see there, and that is the one thing I want you to firstly know and remember before we carry on with anything else. Because if you don't get that, we can't move forward. So if there's one thing you can change on a daily basis, second by second, minute by minute, is that anything you feel that you have failed at before or that you're still failing at, to change that perception in your mind. It is not failure, it is feedback. It is the lesson that you're supposed to learn. You didn't fail. There's no such thing as failure. So if you see it as failure, then you're never going to move forward. You're never going to get the lesson from it and you're not going to become better at it. You're just going to give up. So to let you understand that concept a little bit better, I mean, I don't know Rebecca, do you have kids? Senya, you have kids? You, right? Yeah, I saw Senya's son actually on the screen earlier, yes. So you all understand this. I mean, if your child started to try walking and he fell the first time, and we all know how many times they fall. If they fell the first time and they said, oh no, stuff it, I can't do this, then they would all still be crawling. So if you look at a baby and a small child, they don't understand failure yet. The world didn't label it as that yet. So they keep trying. They mess up. They don't care. They keep trying until they get it right. And that is why it's not failure, it's feedback. So if you look at any successful people out there, look at how many times they failed before they made a success of their venture. So that is already a small thing that you can do to that's already a small thing that you can do to start changing your mindset, is in small ways to catch yourself. So it doesn't matter, and if you start being aware of it, you will start realizing how many times you actually do it a day and you sabotage yourself. So it can be small things of letting a pot full or a spoonful while you're cooking and you get upset with yourself because you almost deal with yourself as a failure. But if you see it as feedback, like, okay, I should hold the spoon next time a bit better, or, you know, be more aware of what I'm doing, then you see it as feedback. So don't see things as failing. Don't see it like that. See it as feedback. So that is the first step of starting to recognize your thinking patterns and just to change that thing already from failure to feedback. And then yesterday I also spoke about your senses. So your 5 senses now strongly that is connected to your reticular activating system, RAS. So because you don't brief him properly and you don't give him instructions and tell him what your wishes are and what you want in your life and what you don't want in your life, he's running amok and he is trying to help you and he's trying to save you and keep you safe. But he looks at your 5 senses and your reactions to it to be able to know what he's supposed to keep out or not. So your reactions to your senses, willingly and unwillingly, consciously and subconsciously, is giving him cues of what you want in your life and what you don't want in your life. So I'm going to share the screen a little bit with you again. Sorry. Let me just try and share that one with you. Obviously, technology is one of my best friends ever. Okay, can you see my screen again or not?
No.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is basically what I spoke about yesterday. In life coaching, we call that VACOG. So it's basically your visual, your auditory, your kinesthetic, your olfactory, which is your smell sense, and gustatory, your taste sense. And I'm going to explain to you now what I basically said yesterday, and then you'll understand why it has such power on RAS, and why you should be more aware of your senses, right? So can you see it small like I see it, or do you see it big on your screen? Sorry, I'm just trying to see with the split screens and my screen and everything what's happening. Do you see it small on your screen?
Don't see
Not
it.
at all. Oh, that is a bit of a problem. Ah,
There
do you
go.
see it now?
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, now it looks like previously. Sorry. All right, so as I said before, so that was the slide you were supposed to see. It's visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory. So basically your 5 senses and the power that that has on your mind and how to program it. So with the next diagram, I'm going to explain this to you. So as you can see from the diagram there, your input comes from your 5 senses. So whatever you touch, whatever you see, whatever you smell, whatever you hear, all of your 5 senses is basically your input. And then it goes through filters. So even though I drew the diagram at the top, it's just for you to flow easier and to understand it. But your RAS, your reticular activating system, is actually at the bottom of your brain. So that's why when I coach sometimes, I say I'm working with your subconscious. It's actually at the bottom. So if you go do research, you will find that it's actually at the bottom and at the top of your spine. So it's literally the communication almost between your body and your mind. So that's why body, mind, soul is actually such a powerful concept, and people think it's just a made-up thing, but it literally is all connected. So whatever you experience through your body with your senses gets connected to your mind, and it all speaks to each other. So through your filters, which is basically going through 3 different types of filters, there's deletion, distortion, and generalization. So if you think of it now, I mean, I can give you an example just with family members that is part of this. So Dalian might remember a certain family memory that we have, and she'll tell it her way. And then Gerard will go, no, but that's not how I remember it. I remember it happening this way. And then I will say, no, man, that's not how it happened. This is how it happened. And that is exactly how our brain, willingly and unwillingly, distorts information. So we all choose how we remember certain things. So the facts are a bit blurred. It's not exactly factual and accurate exactly how it happened in that moment in time. And that is how our brain plays tricks on us. Because with RAS being your bouncer, you can't let everybody into the club, because the club would basically burst open. There's not enough space for everyone on the dance floor. So he chooses who he lets into the club, and now he chooses who he leaves out. So there's certain information that goes in that you remember, that's stored in your subconscious, and there's other information that he doesn't let in, that you don't remember, and that's how he distorts. So that's one of the functions he uses to sift through all the information to make sense of it in your head, and so that your head doesn't explode. The next tool he uses is deletion. So you will delete certain things. So for my husband and I, for instance, he's a very financial brain, factual, into planets and all of those things. I am not at all. I'm more on the feeling, emotional, people, stories, those kind of things. So if I listen to any stories, or I meet people and I learn their names, or I read up on emotions, or I watch an emotional movie, I will remember it almost scene for scene, word for word, because it's important to me. And I don't delete any of that information. But now if parts of the movie has something to do with planets and astrology and the job the husband is doing, and therefore he has to go into space, I don't remember that at all. My brain goes, unimportant, don't care about it. It's not about the detail. I care about the feelings, and I delete it. And that is what our brain does. So it deletes certain information completely. And that is also what happens with postnatal depression. Not postnatal depression, PTSD, so post-traumatic stress disorder, is if you go through a traumatic situation, some people block it out completely. And they don't remember they were raped or they were attacked, or they block it out. So their brain so Raz, the bouncer, to protect them in his best intentions, deletes that completely from their memory, or, you know, to store in your subconscious. So he uses deletion as well. So there's certain facts from school that you don't remember at all, so as if you weren't even in that class. And then there's other information that you remember completely. And then generalization, which is a tool that gets used all the time. And that a lot of people do, and I catch them doing it all the time. I catch myself doing that. And generalization is typically putting people and things in boxes, because that's easier for us to understand. So we would go, all men are cheaters. No offense, Gerard, we know they're not, but women would go, all men are cheaters, because one man cheated on them, and they go, you see, they all useless, they all cheat. So one man lies to them, they go, all men lie, they're liars. And a woman would drive badly, and then someone would say, all women drivers are bad drivers, or women can't drive. And there'll be taxi drivers, and you'll go, so in Australia, I don't think you guys deal with it. In South Africa, we have these minibus taxi drivers, and they literally do whatever they want. There's no law for them. They stop where they want, they pick up people where they want, they do what they want, and they drive any which way they want. And a red traffic light to them is a suggestion. It's definitely not a rule. So we will all go, taxi drivers are bad drivers, but you have maybe one or two that aren't. But that's how we generalize. So for us to make sense of the world, we put these things in boxes. So from our experience that we've had before, we generalize, and we say teachers are that way, pastors are that way, churches are that way, Christians are that way, and we generalize. And from all of that, from the filtering system, then Raz knows, okay, this is what I need to store in the subconscious mind to protect this person. And he communicates between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. So he also then knows exactly how to control your central nervous system. So that's why you have sometimes overreactions to something. So he's stored this information of maybe you getting hurt before, or you burning yourself before. That's exactly how we learn a hot plate is hot. So, and then you will react without even thinking. It's almost like a survival mechanism. But sometimes it doesn't serve us. Sometimes we overreact in a certain scenario, which is not necessary. So we will go into a fight and flight mode because we think we're in danger. And Raz is it plays the biggest part in fight and flight activation, because that's how he keeps you safe. But now sometimes we'll be in a situation, in a relationship, for instance, and someone will say something, or they'll fight with you, and you would immediately associate it with something else where someone hurt you so badly before, and you will overreact, but it's not even relevant to that situation. So it serves to protect you, but it can also sabotage you. And once you understand that, and you know how to speak to Raz, which hopefully I can teach you and communicate to you over these sessions, then you can start making changes and reprogram how Raz learns how to protect you. So then from that filtering system, that is how you create the map of the world. So you have met so many people in your life, I'm sure, and they all see the world differently. So some people will see other cultures in a racist way. Others will love them all. Some people will see Christianity in a certain way. Other people will be very open-minded. So that is how you create the map of the world, to see women a certain way, men a certain way, blacks a certain way, whites a certain way, and you create the map of the world because of your experience you've had before, from what you've heard, from what you've said, from what you've tasted, smelled, through all of your senses. And that creates the perception of yourself as well as the world out there. So what I find a lot of times is if I deal with clients or I do workshops in groups, people think they know exactly who they are. And I usually start my workshops that way. I say, write down, who are you? So if I wanted to understand who you are, write down basically in a small summary what's your identity. And it's amazing what people associate with their identity, and when they go through the process to realize that's how they've been programmed over years to believe who they are. So your parents have a huge part in it. So they raise you in a Christian way or Muslim way or Hindu way or atheist way, and that already makes you think that is what you are. They raise you as a manly man, so you think you're a manly man, or they might raise you in the metro way, and then you might think you're not a manly man. So there's different ways that you've been raised. Teachers tell you you're clever, or you're stupid, or you're slow, or you're great at sport, or you suck at that. And you start creating this idea of, oh, this must be who I am, because if these people around me tell me that's who I am, then that must be true. And then you create this perception, and that is how you interact with the world out there, and that is how the world will in turn interact with you, because they take the signal from you. So the way you treat yourself is how the world will basically treat you. And through this filtering system, you also create your thoughts. So if you think about it, I mean, if you, let's think of something, let's think of something you can all relate to. So say, for instance, you're dating someone and you say, or you're married to someone, or, you know, you're in a relationship, and you say, you know what, I know he or she is doing that. Like, I know they are sneaky on their phone. I know that they are lying to me about something. And, you know, I'm going to check that phone, and I know something's happening. And then that thought starts, and you go, you know what, I don't want to. It's like, it's against my moral beliefs, and I'm not going to go into their phone, and I'm going to leave it. And then eventually your thoughts run so wild that you go, okay, I'm going to go into this phone. And then you find something, because now you're looking for it, and you will find something. And then as soon as you find it, you go, you see, I was right. I was right. He was lying. He was cheating. So you start making it your reality in a way. And even though a guy is not cheating or a woman is not cheating, you might find something on that phone that is about something else. Might not be cheating, but you are so set on finding something to catch him out about, because you want to be right, that now you will find that maybe he bought a speaker, which he can tell you about, and you go, you see, he's lying about that. So you will go look for it, because you are now this detective, and you want to find something to be right about, because we love being right, because it tells us that our way of thinking is the correct way. So create your thoughts, and I will explain it a bit better later for you to understand how you can change your thoughts, which is very powerful. And it creates your belief system, what you believe to be right or wrong. So that's how we can easily go, okay, no, they believe in the wrong God, they believe in the right God. No, my way of raising a child's right, that one's way is not right. So we all have our own beliefs of what is right and what is wrong. And that is how we create our story of ourselves, of life, and of the world around us. And that's how we experience it. And that creates our behavior to the external world, and how the world experiences us, how they perceive us, and how we in turn experience the world and perceive that. So as I said yesterday, that is how you've been programmed your whole life. So if you think of teachers, society, the media, the government, churches, bosses, friends, bullies, information out there has brainwashed you in a way to believe who you are, what is true, what is not true. And especially in today's life, with social media, with the noises of billboards and advertisements and marketing jargon and everything. I mean, there's so much noise out there that if we don't train our minds how to filter properly through it, we're going to keep the junk in our heads, and important information is going to get lost along the way. So here is the cycle, and I know Dalian loves that. She asked me about that yesterday again. I was like, don't worry, I'm going to talk about it tomorrow again. So I love teaching this to people, and I have tried this on my own life, and I've tried it on clients' lives, and trust me, this, once you get it, huge difference, huge difference. So this is basically the recipe for changing any mindset, any mindset. So now if you think of it, and now you might want to take your mute button off, because I'm going to use you guys with proper examples that you might give me. So please, it's my time to have a sip of coffee. Unmute your button. You all unmute. right?
I take no
Everyone-
responsibility for the background noises.
What?
I take no responsibilities for the background noises.
No worries. We now confirmed we're all kind of used to kids. We're fine with that, right? And I'm used to working with noise. So now I'm going to explain the cycle to you, and then I will ask you to give me some examples, and then you'll start seeing in such small ways how you do this to yourself every single day, if not every second or minute. So the top of the cycle, you'll see there's your beliefs, right? Your beliefs directly influences your thoughts. Your thoughts directly influences your decisions. Your decisions directly influences your behavior. Your behavior directly influences your experience. And your experience directly influences your feedback. Remember, not failure, always feedback. And your feedback feeds straight back into your belief system. So now, I'm going to ask you to give me an idea of a thought or a belief that you have. Any belief. So whoever wants to start, are we going to start with ladies or gents? I'm going to choose. All right. Seeing that you were on yesterday, so you're a bit warmed up.
Not fair.
What is a typical belief you have? It can be anything that pops up now, your first thing. Don't overthink it.
Probably just coming from my background. I don't know. Superstition, would it be a belief or something that we have to
So
do?
are you superstitious?
Yeah.
Right. So you are superstitious, right? So explain to me, what is a typical thought that would come from your belief of being superstitious?
Just different things, like to do stuff in a certain way, and if I don't do it, I feel really bad. Like I have to do it. Coming back home, I have to look in the mirror. I can't.
So there's a thought. So you're driving home and you're thinking, okay, when I get home, I have to look in the mirror, right? That's a thought going through your head.
If I forgot something and I have to come back home, I have to look in the mirror. I don't leave the home without looking.
There you go. So that's a thought. So that thought goes through your head, because without the thought, the action would not be there. Everything starts with the thought. So you have the thought, I have to look in the mirror then, right? So what is your decision then from having that thought?
Well,
you think I have
the closest mirror I can find.
So your decision would be look in the mirror, right? You won't decide not to look in the mirror. You now thought, I need to look in the mirror. So you decide to look in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
So what would be your behavior then from making the decision of looking into the mirror?
Behavior. I don't know.
What happens when you look into the mirror? Because now you have to explain to me what happens to you, because I also look into the mirror, but for other reasons.
Okay. I usually make like a face when I look in the mirror if I come back home.
There we go. So you behave by making a face, right?
Yeah.
So now making a face, doing that behavior in the mirror, gives you what experience?
Probably a laugh.
You laugh.
Yeah.
Right. So your experience is laughter, joy, happiness, kind of boosting your system. And what is your feedback then from that experience?
I probably feel like I've done what I needed to do, and then I can go. Like
right. So that's your feedback. So then having that feedback, how does that feed into your belief again?
I think the overall experience, like, I know that if I don't do it, I will feel really anxious and like I have to do it. I do it every single time.
So your experience basically of laughing, right, minimizes your anxiety, isn't it?
No, maybe. Yeah.
Because if I laugh, I can't be anxious. Can you laugh and be anxious at the same time? Please teach me. Right, so it alleviates your anxiety, or it lessens it. It makes it a little bit less, your anxiety, because it's making you laugh. It lifts your spirits a little bit. So your feedback is, I feel better.
Yeah,
So
I do feel better.
feedback of, I feel better goes, you see, I believe in looking in the mirror because it makes me feel better. Yes, I should look in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
So then what will happen again when you leave the house? It's the same cycle, right? And that's the thing. It's not necessarily negative or positive, but if you really go and look at it, right? And you can even do this with your partners. It's quite interesting. You know, I do it with my husband, you know, just for fun, especially now in COVID-19. We have time. So just to go look at everything you do and see how that works with everything you do. It could be in certain ways, like my husband and I mean, I think Leon and Harald knows that. He has his ways and I have my ways. It is the stupidest things. We can fight even about that. So he has his way of making coffee and I have my way of making coffee. And I mean, it's the same coffee in the end, actually, really. But there's a cycle of, I believe it tastes better if you do it that way. And this is the decision I make. And therefore I say, oh, the coffee is nice. Yes, you see, my way's better. So you keep doing that the whole time and it makes that loop, right? So in positive and negative ways. So that's why we do sport. That's why we work out as well, because there's a certain feedback of how you feel in the end. There's always a reward. And even with negative habits and with addictions and stuff, same thing. So if you like it in a positive, if this, like, for instance, this is a positive effect from you, I don't see it having a negative effect, right?
Yep.
Then you keep that loop going. Then it's happening. It's good, right? But if it's a negative thing that you want to get rid of, this is how you will then get rid of it as well. And I will teach you how to do it. By literally, I don't know if you guys also have that game Jenga, where you pull out a piece of something and it falls down. It's like a drinking game or something, right? So this is basically where I can teach you, if you take that block out, the whole thing tumbles. So if you want it to tumble, I'm going to teach you the recipe. Right. So next one. Who else has one for me? Who has a negative one for me? Yes, Dalian.
People with tattoos are bad.
Right. So that's your belief.
That's
People
how I
with
was
tattoos.
raised. Yeah.
Yes, we know. Oh well.
Well, the others don't.
It's not new to us. Yes. But Senya and Rebecca is maybe now learning something from you. So your belief is, as you were raised, so as you were programmed by parents and churches and beliefs, that people with tattoos are bad. So what are your thoughts then, if that's your belief?
When I see people, well, not now so much anymore, but when I first moved to Australia, where every time when I see a person with a tattoo, I'm like, okay, right. So very judgmental because they must be really bad. Yeah.
And then say, let's put it that way to make your decision thing easier, right, to answer. So now say, for instance, you just got to Australia and there's this friend, a girl, right, that is also fit, right, and she likes the kind of the same things as you, it seems, from just, you know, meeting her, first impressions, but she's covered in tattoos. She's literally got sleeves of tattoos. Now she wants to hang out with you, right? What is the decision you would make from that thought?
I wouldn't.
No. So what is the behavior then from making that decision?
Stay away from her.
Right? So you're excluding that person from your life that might have become best friend, but just has tattoos. But might have become a best friend, might have opened your eyes up to so many things in the world, might have added so much value to your life. So you behave now in that way, right? So your experience is what?
Well, it's a hard one because my experience is supposed to tell me, yes, see, it is, people with tattoos are bad. But then you meet some people who has tattoos and then you see like they actually normal people like us. So you have like a, yeah, you don't really know what to do with that because they're supposed to be bad, but they're not really, because you see
right.
It's not really like that. So you have like big feedback.
Right. So if you had an experience now, say positively, with someone with tattoos, Your experience would be what?
What, positively?
Yeah, if you now have an experience, because you can have that's the thing. I mean, people with tattoos are not bad or good. People are bad or good, doesn't matter what they have or are.
That's right.
So
yeah.
you might have met someone with a tattoo that is bad, and then you go, yes, you see, everyone with a tattoo is bad. But
Yeah.
you might have an experience with someone with a tattoo, and then you go, see, they're actually a freaking nice person.
Yeah.
I like them.
Yeah.
And then that's your feedback, and then it feeds back into your belief. But that is exactly, that's why I'm glad you gave this example, and that's why, because I kind of know it, because I know you've been working at this long ago. So that it's a great example then, because that is how it can start changing. So Darlene already mentioned that long ago to me, and she started working at that, and that is why already she can't answer it in that same loop, closed-minded way, because she's already worked at changing that mindset, right? But that is how people get conflicting beliefs, or they feel conflicted within themselves, because they go, okay, I was raised this way, but now I've experienced this, so now what is right and what is wrong? That is exactly what happens. So you have to decide then, okay, so what is the belief system I want to build for myself? And that is what's so great. And you can do that when you then understand how to communicate with Raz. So that is exactly why vision boards and those things work. So a lot of people say it's hogwash and, okay, I'll put vision boards up or whatever. But that is how you tell your reticular activating system what you want. And you focus on that. So if you see it every day, it goes in through that sense. By seeing it, you feel a certain way, because certain pictures ignite stuff from you. If you like traveling like I do, for instance, I put pictures up of all these places I want to go to, and just looking at them, I'm like, oh, it would be so nice to go there, especially now in COVID-19. So it ignites a certain feeling in you. So there's a second sense already. And if you look at this vision board, you might even hear the ocean, or hear sounds that you imagine that you might hear in New York with these taxis and those kind of sounds. So it already ignites other senses, and the more you ignite those senses and it associates with a certain feeling, either good or bad, that's how you program your Raz to know what it is that you want and what you don't want. So now, to go to this loop, unless Rebecca has something for me as well that we can work on there, just to give an idea, so that you guys understand how this loop works and how you can either reinforce it stronger for beliefs that you definitely decide is yours and that you want and that is serving you, because a lot of our beliefs are not serving us, and it's minimizing our experience and our pleasures in life because we have this closed-minded beliefs. So you can either strengthen it, but you use the same loop recipe to break bad habits and to start changing it step by step, right? So Rebecca, do you have one for me?
Nothing too heavy, but I was even just a light-hearted topic this morning. I'm obviously don't have much time usually to do any gardening and things like that, and I have a frangipani tree out the back, and I'm really wanting it to flower. So, and I've got the belief at the moment that I'm never going to get it to actually grow or anything in the garden because they keep killing everything. So there's a light topic one for you.
Oh, I love that one. I love that one because I think Darlene Gerard knows me. I'm a bit crazy when it comes to plants. It's a bit of an obsession, right? And where my love of plants came was when I actually started understanding this. Because I didn't believe I had green fingers, but I loved nature and I loved plants, and I admired these people who could do these plants and make these things happen, and my things just always died. And I wanted to be this person with green fingers, so I didn't believe I had that. And when I started learning that, that was actually one of the first things I practiced when I've learned about this, was I started believing I have green fingers. And at the beginning you lie to yourself, you go, okay, well, I've had so much experience and evidence of things dying, but it was literally the first thing I tried on this loop. And trust me now, I have a vegetable garden. I propagate plants. So especially in this regard, it definitely works. So now your belief is, say for instance, what? I make every plant die, right? Or I don't have people. Okay, so I make every plant die. So what is your thought, in other words?
So my thoughts at the moment is there's no point planting any of the vegetable gardens that I've got all ready to go, but I just don't even bother because I think I'm going to kill them anyway.
Right. So what is the decision you're making?
To not do it at all.
Right. So what is your behavior?
And then overwatering that other plant that I have at the moment, and then hoping that's not going to die.
Right. So what is your experience then from this? A beautiful example. See why I like it? So what is your experience from this?
That one of my plants did die the other week. Yep.
Right. So what is your feedback?
Feedback was that I don't have a green thumb at the moment. Yeah, that's what I keep getting back in the circle.
Exactly. And your feedback from that into your belief is?
That I shouldn't garden.
See? So then it just keeps going. So you believe again, okay, I shouldn't garden. Then tomorrow again, your thoughts are, you see? And then it keeps going and it keeps going and it won't change at all. So I'm going to teach you guys what the secret is, and it's so simple. So as you can see, the only way to break this cycle is by changing your thoughts, right? But I'm sure you all know it, right? Do you know it? Have you heard motivational speakers and Tony Robbins go, change your thoughts, motivate yourself, have positive affirmations, right? It's all with your thoughts. But the trick is, how do you change thoughts? Because it's not that easy. I briefly shared yesterday with Senya and Delenn and the other guys that were on, that I went on a 10-day meditation retreat, the silent one, right? So you're not supposed to talk to anybody at all or make eye contact. And you're just meditating. And I remember how crazy my mind was running. And I realized how many thoughts you have at any point in time. I literally felt for 3 days straight, the first 3 days felt like rehab, like I was literally having, you know, reactions to this experience. But it was because my mind was racing so much. And I thought, how much crap can you actually think of in when you're just sitting still? So your thoughts run so crazy that if you actually don't talk to other people, like in a meditation scenario like that, you start realizing how many thoughts you have that is irrelevant and that is crazy and unrealistic. And that is when you start becoming aware of how it can actually run your life. But now I'm going to explain to you a very simple step. And there's many ways to do it. So I will share all those tools with you, but it's small steps at a time. So to explain to you how to change your thoughts, to start in a small way, a very small way, right? But very effective if you keep doing it every day. Remember, you guys that are training, especially with Delenn, if you train today, but you don't feel like it tomorrow, and then Friday, go, oh, no, I missed it. And then Saturday, okay, I'll do it a little bit again. And then Sunday, don't feel like it. I mean, are you going to look like Delenn in the end? It's a lot of hard work. So, exactly. So it's the same thing with your mind. It's a muscle. Raz has muscles. He's a bouncer. And if you don't train him every day, his muscles are going to go flat and he's not going to be a great bouncer. So these things you have to do every single day. And again, there's no failure. It's feedback. And that's the first key. So if you're trying to change your thoughts from this session, say onwards, and you don't get it right, because trust me, I still struggle. But you have to be aware of it. You just have to go, okay, cool, this is the old pattern if you try and change it. Don't see it, don't beat yourself up. Don't say, oh, you know what's the use? Just like with the plants, what's the use? I can't control my thoughts anyway. So just go, okay, skip that one, feedback, try to do it a bit differently, or just be a bit more aware of it. So it's being kind to yourself. I mean, remember, you've been living this life for so many years. Doing the same thing, falling into patterns and habits that, you know, it's already going to change that a little bit, right? So here's the secret, the first step that I'm teaching you. So it's to change your away from thoughts to a towards thought. So do you guys understand what I'm saying with that? Right, Gerard, you are shaking your head yes. What does that mean?
It means that you must stop thinking about all the crap and then try and focus on something more positive or more restructive or constructive. Yes,
yes. That's basically very well summed up by a man, straight to the point. Right, so what he said is basically the truth. But now to explain it more in practical terms, give me a typical away from thought that you guys experience in your life, because we all have, right? So give me a typical idea, anything. Hit me with it. Anyone? So let's say, have you all tried a diet before?
Yeah.
Or tried an exercise regime, something like that. Okay, Gerard has. Okay, it can be anything, your typical thing, like wealth, or if you don't believe you're rich, or you believe you're poor, or you believe you're not capable of doing something, or so a typical thought that is sabotaging you, and we all know that you have that. So let me take a typical one, which I'm sure Gerard would still be able to associate with because he's got 4 sisters, so I'm sure he lived it. So a typical one that I use a lot is if you want to lose weight, right? So a typical away from thought would be, I don't want to be fat, right? Can you hear whether it's an away from or towards?
Mm-hmm.
What would you guess it is?
Away.
Away from, right? Because you don't want to be fat. So you're doing exercise, or you're eating healthy, or you're changing your lifestyle because you don't want to be fat. I can guarantee you 100% you will fail. And as I say, not fail, feedback. Your feedback will be change your plan, change your strategy. It will 100%, I can guarantee you, will not give you the results that you want. And it will not be long-term, and it will not last. So how can we change I don't want to be fat into a towards strategy, which will work Raz's muscles way better and give you what you want? Anyone?
I want to look like Dalian.
It's definitely a towards strategy for me. So I'll go with that. Yes. So a towards strategy would be, I want to be fit. I want to be healthy. I want to be energetic. Do you see the difference in that? So now you're chasing something you want, something positive that you're working towards, not something you're running away from, because that's the wrong strategy. It won't be successful, right? So if you change it to that, it's the same thing really, right? You want to exercise, you want to eat healthy food, you want to have a different lifestyle, but your motivation is different. And if you understand Raz and you understand how your mind works, he understands that better, and he takes instructions like that way better. He understands that better. So it's more direct and it's specific. I don't want to be fat. What does that mean? Fat to you, fat to me, fat to someone else, it's a different thing. Fat is not like who's fat. You know what I'm saying? Like there's different ideas of what fat is. So if you are more specific and say, I want to be fit, I want to be healthy, whatever that is for you, I want to be energetic, that's more specific. Now you're talking, now you're giving him proper instructions. So that is exactly how you change your way of thinking. So you will find a lot of people that go, oh, I always struggle. Oh, this always happens to me. Oh, I have such bad luck. Oh, you know what? I will just never get rich. Those are the people that usually, if you look back at that, let it be the way that you are actually programming your mind. Come on. So if they keep thinking it, they won't say it if they don't think it. You have to think something first before it comes out. So they keep thinking it. Oh, I'm so poor. I'm always going to be poor. I suffer. I always suffer. I'm always going to suffer. So they decide that they're going to make certain decisions, right, with that thinking pattern, right? So they're not going to make the best decision because they're doing it from an away from strategy of, I don't want to be poor anymore, for instance, right? And then they're going to behave in a poverty-stricken kind of attitude way. So do you think they're going to actually attract successful, wealthy people into their circle who wants to hear about their garbage of poverty and complaints the whole time? They're not. They're going to behave in a poverty, oh, shame, I'm suffering kind of way, and therefore they will attract those kind of people that can complain with them and complain and, oh, my life is so bad. And therefore the experience will be, yes, my life is so bad. You see, these people are also feeling so bad and poor. And their feedback would be, yes, I'm so poor. Oh, I hate being poor. And then that feeds straight into their belief, I'm so poor. And it keeps going. So the only way they can change that would be, I want to be wealthy. I want to be successful. I want to be positive. So you start changing negative things. So it's the same thing as if you do a diet, for instance. So if I laugh at women all the time. So they would want to lose weight, and then they put a note or something on their fridge where they obviously go get these snacks, and they go, I don't want cake. I don't want cake. I am not going to eat sweets. I am not going to take that chips. So now your mind, Raz, I mean, a bouncer is not always the sharpest up there. So imagine Raz that way. He is just getting the keywords. So he goes, I want cake. I want chips. Because you're putting your focus on there. So now if you've ever wanted to be on a diet, have you ever noticed if you're focusing on, oh, I want to lose weight, you are thinking not to have a cake because you know a cake will make you fat. I can tell you now, there will be adverts about cakes. Your friends will bring you cakes even though it's not your birthday. Someone will bring a cake to the office and it's no one's birthday. There will be a billboard of a cake. You will smell a cake driving past the bakery. You will have cake, 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 cake in your freaking peripheral thought process the whole time, and you will end up eating that cake and you will fail because you're focusing on it. So just to change that would go, and I know you might be lying to yourself, I feel like having salad. I feel like having healthy food. And I mean, it's a process, but it's just to teach your mind to change something from a negative statement to a positive statement, right? So it's the same thing as with journaling. So a lot of men especially, I'm sure, don't like journaling, and there's a lot of women as well that goes, who's got time for journaling? I get that. So you don't have to journal, but it's got so much power at the end of the day. If you literally, and you can do it with your family, it becomes fun actually, to just do your highs and lows for the day. That's it. It's just to be aware of what was your high and what was your low. And if you write your low down, you will start noticing how you say things in a negative way and how you can start changing it. So just by writing it down, your thoughts and your typical kind of thought patterns that you have, you'll be able to start recognizing the pattern and how you sometimes think so negative in a way. And I know you guys don't want to share your negative thoughts. I have many that I can ramble off right now, right, that I have to work at every single day. But we keep affirming things. So for me, for instance, I mean, I was saying to Dalian yesterday, I have this thing that if a drawer, for instance, don't want to close, and it's supposed to close because that's what its job is, I can easily kick that thing, right? So that it doesn't exist anymore, right? So I know that is a bit of a negative thing of mine, so I have to keep changing that thought for me. So for instance, if I go, I hate drawers that don't work, I would go, thank goodness I have this drawer that keeps my stuff in place. I'm going to try and opening it, breathing nicely. So it sounds stupid, right? But if you go in and not let it go crazy and let your temper take over, but you take a moment to breathe and you go, okay, let me see the good in this. And that is basically the secret to it. So that's where all the positive hogwash comes from, the positive thinking, positive talks, the motivational talks. That's where it comes from. So it is basically recognizing your negative thoughts and seeing how you can change it to a positive thought. So a lot of people don't get into relationships because they say, I don't want to get hurt. If you change that, you'll say, I would like to be happy. I would like to share my life with someone. So it's literally just not running away from something, but going towards something. So as Gerard said, have the goal in mind, have your focus, and ignore the rest. Because if you focus on those things, Raz is going to go look for those sensations and things from your senses and people and stuff in your life. And he's going to let it in, and it's going to occupy your mind with those things instead of with your goal and your focus. So if you guys are ready to do homework, and I'm sorry, I see I took way longer. So it's better, Dalian, if I keep to a very fine line like yesterday, you see. So if I start talking like this, I probably need just one slide and it will be half an hour. So all I want you to do today, to do yourself a favor, and I know it's late already in Australia, but that's a perfect time, is for today, just think of typical things that you deem as having gone wrong in your life, or things that don't normally go your way, things that you would like to improve on, things that you're not exactly satisfied with. and then just try and think of what are the typical thought programs or thought patterns that you have surrounding those things. Like Rebecca said, when it comes to plants, that is a thought pattern. Like, I don't have green fingers. I don't have any talent with planting things. I make things die. Those kind of thoughts, write it down and see how we can change it into a positive and break that cycle. Because the only way you can break the cycle is through your thoughts. Your beliefs are so strongly cemented into your subconscious mind since birth that it's almost impossible to just go change the belief. The only way you can do it is through a thought process. And the moment you change that thought, that is where your decisions, your behavior, your experience, and your feedback and everything changes. And trust me, I believe in this cycle so much. I have dealt with clients that had depression, that literally someone wanted to put into a madhouse. I'm not even joking. And just by teaching him this, I saw such a difference in 2 weeks that I could not believe that's how they diagnosed him. So his belief system was so negative and so depressing that his whole life was just this depressing loop. And the moment he started changing his thoughts and being accountable for his thoughts, talking to me all the time, letting me know these are the thoughts I'm thinking, and me helping him change those thoughts, I promise you, the whole loop started changing, and his beliefs about himself and about the world and how negative it is started changing. So awareness, write down your thoughts, and in moments when your thoughts are running wild, just be aware of it. That's why meditation and those things work. Catch it in that moment and go, okay, how can I change that into a more positive light? How can I see the silver lining in this situation? Because if you keep seeing the negative, Raz thinks that's what you want. So he gives you more of that. He works for you, he's loyal, so he's going to give you what you want, right? So from my whole hour of talking, I'm very sorry. I will not do that again. But I want you to remember this slide of I am, and that's where affirmation comes from. And I will teach that to you on the next session with definitely 30 minutes. I'll put my timer on. And from those negative thoughts that you have that you change into positive, that's where the positive affirmations come from. I am healthy. I am fit. I am happy. I am joyful. I am love. And that's where affirmations come from, and that's what you focus on. So start thinking of who you think you are, or who the world made you out to be, and what of that you would like to change, because you have the power to change it at any point in time if you want. And then start writing your strategy of how to do it, and it's all with your thoughts. It all starts with your thoughts. And you might at the beginning not believe this, but trust me, if you do it every single day for a small amount of time, every single day, it will change, and you'll start seeing the difference. That is me after 60 minutes.
Thank you so much.